So welcome back to top 10 lists of the most peak games ever news. First place is Peak Simulator.
Welcome back everyone to my bean-infested spin on Peak Simulator. Last time I discussed my prolific and quite frankly legendary writing career. I'm being sarcastic. If you saw my last video, you know that during 8-year-old me career as a novelist, I wasn't exactly making peak fiction, but I became a lot better at writing when I created my visual novel 8th Day Kishimono-kun, though my writing obviously still retained flaws, and then I discussed my plan on how to improve those flaws for Teach Me Everything. But now some people have pointed out the fact that my game doesn't really look anything like Peak Simulator, which is, well, on purpose. I mean, what game developer would look at Yandere Simulator and go, why yes, I want my game to look like shit, play like shit, and run like shit?
Building. What the fuck's this camera? I can't even zoom, what the fuck?
Like, no, nobody's exactly striving to be like Yandere dev. People probably think of you higher if you go around publicly screaming about how you support Elon Musk selecting wrong emotes.
It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
And if you say we want to be a developer like Yandere dev. Actually, Elon Musk supporters and Yandere dev supporters both have a pretty big thing in common, which is that we're both severely delusional. I do want to make it clear though, if Yandere dev wasn't so egotistical and a serial child predator, I wouldn't be bashing him like this. I don't have a problem with people being bad programmers or bad game designers, as long as they can take feedback and help, and actually want to improve and aren't pedophiles. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and now I don't actually know if this is really true or not, but she was telling me that there is now, in heavy air quotes, an official sexuality for people who like children. Now here, I'm pretty woke, okay? Gay people, amazing, great. Transgender people, perfect. Be yourself, be happy. Non-binary, great. Pedophile, what the actual fuck? Sorry, this is going way off topic. Anyway, let's get to my top 3 lists of ways my game differs from Yandere Simulator. I do want to apologize in advance if I come across as a little smug or full of myself. That's really not my intention. And I don't see myself higher than Yandere dev as a creative, at least. Anyway, number 3. The narrative of this game is a large part of it. I really enjoy writing, and in my opinion have been getting substantially better as time goes on. I don't want to spoil too much about the story, but I will say it's quite an emotional narrative, with a lot of unexpected plot twists. It's a story that's extremely character driven, so I've been really focusing on giving the characters a lot of depth, chemistry, and development, while delivering a social commentary that I think is extremely important to me. Though some of you may notice that a serious narrative like this sort of, yeah. The heavily stylized art looks super good and I'm really proud of it, but there's no denying how abstract it is, which is on purpose. And that's why to aid the story, I'm recruiting voice actors! If you want a voice act, make sure to join the Discord down below and just follow the steps on the server. Thanks a ton in advance. The story also follows a male protagonist, as his motivations for murder are significantly different from Ayano's. I'm obviously trying to make him a likable protagonist that you can root for and that you want to see succeed, so I can't really just make him a complete nut. Number 2. The art style is something I'm very proud of. This game is technically a prequel sequel to my game Tell Me Everything, thus they retain the same art style. I feel as if the bright colors clash well with the poignant and dark tones of the story, creating an unsettling and surprising atmosphere, and it also fits well with the more comedic and silly slice-of-life moments of the game. In character design, they often say that if any given person is able to recognize a character by their silhouette, you've done a good job. So, all the characters are silhouettes, their body type and animations reflecting their personalities. For just one example, the boss from Tell Me Everything, who's extremely greedy, is obese to symbolize his greed. While on the topic of stuff that's not related to the gameplay, I may as well bring up the music. Tell Me Everything has a sort of jazz downtempo soundtrack that I really like, and there's still some of that in Teach Me Everything, of course, but the genre is very a good bit. Number 1. Before we go on to the last, but definitely not least point of this list, I'd quickly like to ask you for you to subscribe and to follow me on Itch. I'm trying to get this game to be as popular as possible so that my message reaches the world. Thanks, and now on to the final point. The primary goal of games, and any media that matter, is to make the person experiencing it feel something. Games often secretly work in the player's favor to achieve this, and without doing so, it can make the game feel extremely unfair and clunky. For example, basically any platformer ever, if you walk off a ledge, the game will still allow you to jump for a short time frame after. This makes platformers feel very fluid and helps the player to feel more in control of the character. Or as another famous example in the Uncharted series, the first 2 bullets fired at the player after they come out of cover will always miss. Without this, the game would feel extremely unfair. So for my game, the goal is to make the player feel like we're actually creating a murder plan. But if we were to just make it a sandbox so that the player actually fully create their own murder scheme, it would feel extremely unbalanced and potentially overwhelming for new players. So I looked into one of my favorite strategy games, The Escapists. The first Escapist game has only one way to escape each prison, so making an escape plan is more like figuring out the correct steps to a puzzle. But it's that exact thing that makes it so genius. Figuring out the correct steps to escape the prisons feels like you're actually making your own escape plan, especially due to the punishing nature of the game that forces you to carefully plan every move. So that's essentially what I'm doing with Teach Me Anything, except involving murder. And similarly to The Escapists, as you progress through the game, more mechanics get introduced and the puzzles become more complex. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.